Am I still salty about the Anime Awards? Yes. Okay? It is not in the same tier. It is not in the same tier. That is the one anime award I'm giving out this year in the GIGGUK Anime Awards. Slime Season 2 wins the award for being worse than Mushoku Tensei. So, what we are going to be doing now is we are going to be going through every isekai and fantasy show that aired in 2021, and we are going to be ranking them. Why am I doing this? Because I watched a fuck ton of isekai and a fuck ton of fantasy in 2021, as I always do. I always watch a fuck ton of isekai and a fuck ton of fantasy. So to explain, I haven't watched every one of these shows. Some of these shows I've watched 4 episodes of. Some of these shows I've watched 1 episode of. Some of these shows I've watched 1 episode of and then gone on to read the manga. I'm saying this right now. I haven't watched every isekai I'm about to judge, but if I can't make an educated judgment about a lot of them, then they will go in the no opinion tier. But before that, I'd like to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Bookwalker. Bookwalker is an official ebook store available on iOS, Android, and PC, where you can legally read English translated manga and light novels. And look, I'm not gonna lie, they publish a lot of isekais, so it's likely that if I talk about a show on this isekai tier list, there's a big chance that the source material is going to be available on Bookwalker. Personally, I think some of the ones you should check out is So Am a Spider, So What, The Faraway Paladin, The World's Finest Assassin, and of course, Realist Hero. Also, if you're a first-time user, you can also use coupon code GIGGUK for $5 off your first purchase. Click the link in the description for more details. Thank you to Bookwalker for sponsoring this video. On with me talking about probably a lot of other Bookwalker titles. So, Alan, I don't know why you put this in. Alan's a big Digimon fan, but his first isekai that he put in is Digimon Ghost Game. I'll be honest, I didn't even know that there was a Digimon show that came out. So that goes in the no opinion tier. Great. Off to a great fucking start. So the next one is Drugstore in Another World. Here's the thing about isekai. I feel like isekai gets a bad rep for all isekai basically being the same, where I feel like Drugstore in Another World is not a power fantasy show at all. This is just a slice of life show. Not all isekais are the same anymore. Having said that, Drugstore in Another World was mid as fuck. I'm not a massive fan of slice of life. There's some slice of life that I really like Eurocamp was fucking amazing. So was Girls Last Tour, that was slice of life with a bit of existentialism. I fucking love that. Drugstore in Another World has such a specific niche. You would watch this if you're the type of person who plays an MMO and then joins the Alchemy Guild. I'm not that person. Okay, so I'll be honest, I thought it was pretty fucking boring. Putting this one into C tier. What the fuck is this one? Okay, it's Full Dive. Fuck, I remember this one. All right, we're adding a tier right now. And we're putting Full Dive into it. Full Dive was pretty much the most generic isekai starter I've seen. I watched 2 episodes of this, and then I immediately fucking clicked off. Now we get to shows I have a bit more to say about. This one is How Not to Summon a Demon Lord Season 2. I think Demon Lord is kind of like the high school DxD of isekai. You're watching it for like a very specific reason. If you go into a high school DxD thinking that it is going to be like a fantastic series where it has a compelling narrative and all that kind of shit, then you're gonna have a bad time. But if you're watching high school DxD for the titty, you are going to be having a good time. Having said that, How Not to Summon a Demon Lord Season 2, one thing I can say about it is at least it doesn't try to pretend to be anything else. And like when it gives you fan service, when it gives you that overpoweredness, it goes full in. It goes full in, fucking balls deep. But I do think that Season 2 was weaker than Season 1. At least Season 1 at least tried to have some stakes, tried to have a semblance of a plot. It went from having some cool fights and great fan service to just having great fan service. I think it's better than Drugstore though. You know what? I'm going to give it a B because it had a Pekora cameo. That pushes it up from a high C to a low B, okay? What is this one? LBX Girls? What the fuck is this one? I did not watch the first episode of this one. I think I might have just thought this was Symphogear. And then I was just like, another season of Symphogear. This just looks like Isekai Symphogear. This one goes into the no opinion tier. Log Horizon Season 3. I was pretty fucking damn hyped for Season 3. The first season of Log Horizon was one of my favorite isekais of all time. I think it had some really unique ideas. I thought Season 2 was a slight step down, and Season 3 was around the same level as Season 2 for me. I'm really hoping that one day it actually reaches the same levels as Season 1 again. So for me, Season 3 is a high B tier. Season 1 was like high A, low S. Next, we have Make You Black Company. I actually like this one. This is actually a pretty funny anime. It's Peasant Uprising, the anime. I think my only real problem with it is that the anime production did seem a little bit cheap. But what I will say is that it was a pretty funny show. It was a pretty unique concept for an isekai as well. It wasn't any power fantasy here. This was more of a very clever satire of Japanese corporate lifestyle and then putting that in an isekai world. And I thought that was a really clever twist on it. I think that this deserves a good A tier. I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. It's a solid A tier for me. Next, we have Mushoku Tensei. Where's this gonna go? Obviously, it's gonna go in the F tier. Guys, okay, come on. You know. Do I really need to explain myself? Do I really need to explain myself? I don't know if season 1 deserves to go in A tier and season 2 S tier, just because season 2 was absolutely fucking insane. Season 1 was a bit too slow. It focused more on like world building and characters, where season 2 is where all the shit starts coming down. Season 2 is more like an S plus tier. I would like to judge both seasons as one season, right? I basically see them as the same show. If you want my full opinion on why I think it's a great show, just watch literally any other time I've talked about Mushoku Tensei, okay? I don't need to say more about it. What I will say, however, I wanted to comment quickly about the controversy, because here's the thing about Mushoku Tensei, which is like every time I mention Mushoku Tensei and it gets posted on like a public forum, the fucking comment section is so fucking toxic, it actually makes me lose brain cells. Because here's the thing. Here's like my full opinion. Okay, Rudy, I think he does some fucking fucked up shit. The stuff he does and tries to do with underage girls, I think that's bad. Of course, that side is fucking weird. And if someone gets put off by that and they don't want to watch the show, I'm like, cool, understandable. Have a nice day. What I have an issue with is people saying that if you like Mushoku Tensei, then you support all of these actions that Rudy does. They're basically calling you, well, if you like Mushoku Tensei, then you support grooming and pedophilia. I don't think it glorifies it. Because to me, I was creeped out by it. I think that if it really glorified it, then Rudy wouldn't become slightly less horny as the series goes on. At the beginning, he's horny as fuck. And as the series goes on, he tries to not see women as fucking objects. You know, he tries to give them respect as people do. Do the anime scenes show a lot of uncomfortable things? Yes. I think that part shows Rudy's perspective, because at the end of the day, he is the main character. It makes me lose brain cells when people try to project onto me the fact that if I like this, then I support X, Y, and Z. Whereas I think it's a fictional world. It's a fictional story. Yes, there are aspects that you don't necessarily support, but that doesn't mean I can't enjoy the story for what it's trying to portray. It blows my mind because you think about other shows, right? You like Bakugo? Well, that just means you support bullying. Fucking Vegeta tried to blow up a whole fucking planet and people fucking love him. Why do they love him? Because he had a redemption arc. Did we just fucking forget that Vegeta literally tried to blow up the fucking Earth and people were just like, what a guy. What a guy. You know what? He might have tried to blow up the Earth, but at least he's a good dad. At least he's tsundere. You know, like why are people not trying to fucking cancel Goku for teaming up with Frieza? Frieza is literally fucking Space Hitler. Where are the people trying to cancel him? And like, what about Attack on Titan? These people are literally committing war crimes. If you think that Eren is a good character, then do you support child murdering? But when it comes to this guy is horny, well, you support all the fucked up things that this guy thinks and does. That is where I draw the line. And that is where I'm just like, you know what? If you don't want to like Mushoku Tensei for the uncomfortable things that the main character does, that's understandable. If you want to project your own agenda upon anyone who does enjoy this show, that is bullshit. I just like Mushoku Tensei because it's a good story. I think anyone who has a healthy degree of separation between real life and fantasy can distinguish that. And you know, that is just my take. That is last I'm going to talk about the Mushoku Tensei controversy. If you don't like Mushoku Tensei for those reasons, like I said, understandable, have a nice day. I'm not going to judge you, but all I ask is that you don't judge me or you don't judge anyone for enjoying the show, okay? And that's it. Villainess Season 2. I actually really fucking enjoyed Villainess Season 1. So Season 1 was an easy A tier. I remember when Season 2 was announced, I was just like, why do we need a Season 2? I felt like Season 1 tied up all of the major plot points that it needed to tie up. It was a very, very different isekai from your usual isekai formula. I mean, for one, it has a female protagonist, but for two, it had a female protagonist that was trying to like stop her own death because she got transported into a game that she had played and she was the bad guy. And I thought that was a really interesting plot point. Season 2, I feel like it resolved its plot point, and then Season 2 felt more like a fantasy slice of life romance without that hook that had me coming back. Season 2 was still enjoyable, but I definitely didn't enjoy it for the same reasons as I enjoyed Season 1. I didn't have that much of a hook. It's way more of just a typical fantasy slice of life with a bit of romance in it. So I'm going to put this at B tier. Re:Zero Season 2. So I am surprised that more people have not been talking about Re:Zero Season 2. I thought Season 2 was great. I don't know if I enjoyed it more than Season 1. I enjoyed it for different reasons. Season 2 to me felt like watching Attack on Titan Season 2 all over again. And let me just explain that, okay? Attack on Titan Season 1 for me was just this really fast roller coaster ride where you had a lot of things happening, a lot of shocking moments, but at the end of Season 1, I kind of just was left there feeling a little empty. I didn't know where the story was going. And to me, that was Re:Zero Season 1. Re:Zero Season 2, it put way more of a focus on the characters and the world building, which isn't bad, but it just felt like there was less going on overall than Season 1. Whether that's better or worse, it's up for debate, but I feel like it sets the stage perfectly for future seasons, which is why I really, really fucking hope it gets more seasons. There was one thing that Season 2 did that completely surprised me. It made me like Amelia. I've shit on Amelia so fucking much, but it actually made her a character and not just some cheap waifu bait like she was in Season 1. It blew my mind when I'm just like, damn, I kind of think Amelia's best girl. Guys, I think I'm turning into an Amelia sim. I've turned into everything that I fucking despised beforehand. I think I have actually turned into an Amelia sim. I think her character development in Season 2 is fucking fantastic. I think Subaru's development in Season 2 was fucking fantastic. I would put this at the same level as Mushoku Tensei Season 1. It's like a low S tier for me. Next one, Realist Hero. I really fucking like Realist Hero because I remember watching this and I'm just like, oh, it's kingdom building, it's city building. That's basically just slime all over again. I think it's different enough from slime because one, Rimuru actually has powers and he actually has influence with how powerful he is as a slime. Realist Hero, he basically has to use his knowledge from our world. The only weapon he has that makes him overpowered is his knowledge of our world. And I think what's really interesting is that he uses psychological and philosophical learnings from our old world and applies it to the fantasy world. There's a lot of references to Machiavellianism. How the fuck do I pronounce this? Machiavellianism. Fuck, what is wrong with me? Machiavellianism. All right. I'm gonna get this right. Machiavellianism. Okay, there we go. Okay, back to Realist Hero. He uses a lot of lessons from, for example, Machiavelli. Fuck.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
I thought it was super fucking interesting. I think it does more than what Slime does. I mean, Slime does something different, but I think this one's more focused. So that's why I'm gonna put it up as A tier. So next we have Restaurant in Another World. I think this one's pretty simple in its appeal. If you just want a nice comfy show about people from other worlds just enjoying good food, then this is the show for you. I don't really have much to say about it. Sydney fucking loves Restaurant to Another World because she fucking loves food manga. To me, it's not really my kind of show. It's not really my kind of isekai. It's not bad. I don't really have much to say about it. Season 2, I watched an episode and it was exactly the same as Season 1. It's a C tier. All right, Slime baby. I feel like people thought Slime Season 1 was a good show. It was a good show, but not a great show. Slime Season 1 fucking sped through the source material like nobody's business. I thought it was like an okay adaptation to the manga, which I much prefer the manga. Slime Season 2 turned a good show into a great show. The focus was less on how powerful Rimuru is, and it became more of this city building civilization type anime. Like, I thought Season 1 was just like, oh, Slime is this happy-go-lucky wholesome show. It's a wholesome show. That didn't fucking happen in Season 2. It went down a more darker route, and it explored more sides of Rimuru's character. It was just a step up in every way possible, and I highly recommend Slime Season 2 to everyone who watched Slime Season 1 and enjoyed it, but then had enough. I will say, I don't think it's on the same level as Mushoku Tensei and ReZero Season 2. You know what? I'm going to make a new row, and this row is called Worse Than Mushoku Tensei. All right, because it is. It is. Am I still salty about the Anime Awards? Yes. Okay? It is not in the same tier. It is not in the same tier. You are not there yet, Slime. You are not there yet. I really fucking enjoyed you. You're not there standing with the greats, with the juggernauts just yet. Okay? That is the one anime award I'm giving out this year in the GIGGUK Anime Awards. Slime Season 2 wins the award for being worse than Mushoku Tensei. All right. Slime 300. I will say that it has absolutely zero in common with that time I got reincarnated as a slime. It's a cute, comfy slice of life. It gets a C tier for me. Okay, next we got Slime Diaries. I'll be honest, I didn't really see the appeal of Slime Diaries. I don't know who looked at Slime and was just like, I'm invested enough in these characters that I want a full spin-off. If Slime was in Isekai Quartets, I would prefer that. I think there's nothing more that screams C tier than me. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. So I'm a Spider. So what? This one, I've read the manga. I also watched the anime. The reason I read this manga, I saw the studio that was adapting the show and I thought, fuck, this is the same studio that adapted Berserk 2016 and 17. I'm reading the manga right now before I see what kind of shit show is produced. Having said that, they definitely learned from their mistakes from Berserk 2016 and 17 because the CG, I wouldn't say it's good. This is so much better compared to that. And also, I do think that the anime adaptation was better. And I have one reason for that. And that is Aoi Yuki. My fucking god. I regret reading the manga because Aoi Yuki gave so much personality to the spider. She fucking brought her to life. The other thing that I would say was great about this isekai is that it is basically just a 20 episode long training arc of her getting overpowered. And I actually liked seeing that progression for once. It just was different enough where I had a good time with it. I think it's a very, very solid isekai. Aoi Yuki fucking solo carried it. I think it's a solid A tier. And I really hope that we get a season 2 of it because I think it was a very, very solid isekai that's different enough from your typical isekai formula. So this is, I believe, Spirit Chronicles. This gets a C tier for my boy Sea Dog. I'll be honest, I wasn't that impressed with this isekai. This one was a very generic fantasy show. In any other world, I would give this a D tier. But for my boy, just for my boy, I'm gonna put it up to C tier. C for Connor. Or Sea Dog. A for Ape. All right. This one is Standing on a Million Lives 2. This one was pretty bad. It is not a good isekai, I'll say that. It did one thing that like piqued a minuscule of my curiosity. And that is, I appreciated the fact that they gave him a class that was not just like the generic OP classes. So for example, I remember one point he gets like the blacksmith class, which is like shit for combat. So he has to use this class to really make weapons that are OP for other characters to use. And I thought that that was like a minuscule amount of interest. Having said that, it's like a D tier for me. Maybe even E tier. It's not as bad as Full Dive. I'll be generous and give it a D tier. So this next one, The Fruit of Evolution. This one was absolute shit. I'll be honest, I don't even remember much about this. I remember like this is the one where the guy gets isekai'd with a bunch of girls in his classroom or something. I'm making a new row. There's nothing to even say about this. It's F tier. This ain't even good trash. It is just trash. Let's see. We got The Saint's magic power is omnipotent. I watched a few episodes. It seemed alright. just didn't really grab my interest. So I'm going to put it at C tier. It was okay. Tsukimichi Moonlight Fantasy. I remember watching the first episode of this and I actually skipped it. And then I went through like an Isekai binge and I'm like, I don't know why. Maybe I'll give this one a chance. This one was actually really fucking good. I was so fucking surprised. What I really liked about it is that it was self-aware, but that it didn't make the self-awareness a part of its own identity. I feel like it did enough to have like a pretty interesting story. It's pretty funny as well. It doesn't do anything vastly different. What it does do different is distinct enough, and what it does do good makes it a very, very solid isekai show. So this goes... I'm gonna put this at A tier. I enjoyed it as much as Spider and everything else. Next show, we got the Assassin Isekai. What is the full name of this? The world's finest assassin gets reincarnated in another world as an aristocrat. I actually really fucking enjoyed this one. Out of all of these, it had some really gamer moments, but it also had some really interesting moments as well. There were moments when I believe like he gets like a slave or a servant or something, right? And I'm just like, of course, there it is. There it is. But the parts that were like enjoyable were really enjoyable. I thought like it was a really cool concept to see someone who was actually skilled and overpowered in the old world and give him a mission to assassinate someone in a fantasy world. And I thought it was really interesting to basically see how he goes about breaking the systems presented in this fantasy world when you got stuff like magic and things like that as well. I just think it took a little bit too long to get going. There was this really weird thing with his fucking mother or something where like his mother basically told him that she wishes that he could still suckle on her nipples. And I'm just like, what the fuck what is this? This isn't Mother Knows Breast, okay? This isn't the fucking MILF isekai. I'm watching this guy try to become assassin. I'm not watching this isekai to watch a fucking kid suckle on his mother's nipple again, okay? Where was this part in fucking John Wick? You know, there was a reason that this character arc wasn't in John Wick. Another thing I did like about it was I liked that they introduced this idea that the goddess actually transported multiple people to this fantasy world. And you get to see some of the stories of some of the different people that have been transported to this fantasy world that have been given the same mission and have completely fucking failed it. I think the good parts were really interesting, but I think it was tied down by some of the bad points as well. But to me, this is a B tier in terms of isekai. It's a high B tier. There were enough things that put me off from it being an A tier. There was a lot of like trashy moments in it, but it was very much enjoyable trash. Next, we have, I think this is Banished Hero. Banished from the hero's party, I decided to live a quiet life in the countryside. This is just a fantasy. Some isekais and some fantasies are so indistinguishable that I just forget that some fantasies are not isekai. To me, I thought this was a better version of Drugstore in Another World. This had a more interesting concept where I liked that it was from the hero's party who just wasn't strong enough to be part of the main party that was defeating the Demon Lord anymore. I liked it. The world is interesting. It just was a bit too slow for me. When I saw like the main duo, I was just like, can you guys just fuck already? Guys, can you just fuck? Just stop teasing my balls. Just fucking fuck already, please. It is a slice of life. I'm not a massive fan of slice of life. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give this a C. I'm sure if you like slice of life and romance, it would probably be B tier. It just had an interesting premise to me. All right, combatants will be dispatched. So this was the show that I actually got to get a little sneak preview of. I got to go to the studio that made this. If you want to check that out, then if it's on YouTube, here's the thumbnail. Here's the thumbnail of the video. I'll be honest, I think I would have enjoyed this more if this came before Konosuba. It came from the same writer as Konosuba, but he actually wrote this before he wrote Konosuba. And I remember watching this and remember reading the manga. It felt like some of the same ideas that were in Konosuba, but just they weren't as well developed. Like the comedy and the character interactions and the character chemistry in general, there were shades of the same chemistry you see in Konosuba, but it just wasn't as well developed. I kind of got bored with it for that reason. I remember thinking, I'd rather be watching Konosuba right now. This is like a low B for me. It might even be C. I feel like I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and put it low B because I'm seeing some of these other shows in C tier and I'm like, it's better that these shows, not that much better, but it's a low B. Suppose a kid from the last Dungeon Boonies something, I don't remember the fucking name of this. Here's the problem with shows like this. Clearly made as a satire of power fantasy anime. Because the concept of this is that You have a kid that basically grew up in a town that was next to like the final dungeon of this world, and he decides to move to the starter town. Now, in this endgame area, he's actually pretty weak, but compared to everyone in the starter town, he finds out that he's strong as fuck. It's less about showing his overpowered protagonist, and it's more about making fun of overpowered protagonist. Having said that, I don't think it really did anything more than just try to be meta. I feel like all of its jokes hang on the fact that it's making fun of power fantasy anime, and that just got boring after like 2 episodes. I didn't even think that the episodes that I did show was that funny in the first place. I'm gonna give it a D tier. Redo of Healer. Okay, people are like S. Guys, stop being horny for a second. This ain't S tier. Are we talking S for sus here? Let's think with our minds for a sec. We're here to think with our minds. I'm gonna make a fucking U tier just for this. This belongs in the H tier, okay? You know why? You know fucking why it belongs in the H tier. Get that S tier shit out of here. I'm about to come in with a pretty hot take. I don't know if it's hot or cold or lukewarm. I actually think Redo was pretty fucking shit. Here's the fucking reason. I know all you horny motherfuckers want to put it in S tier. Bruh, there are better hentai you can jack off to. You think I'd rather watch Redo over fucking rants? Over Isekai Harem Monogatari? Come on, guys. I would prefer if actually Redo was like a full-on hentai, because the sex scenes in Redo, I'm gonna say, they weren't that great. The sex scenes in Redo are a warm-up for actual hentai. If we are going to judge Redo for the plot, are you fucking kidding me? The plot of Redo was just bad. It was just bad, okay? It was bad. It was a bad story with bad characters and a bad plot. Like, it wasn't even shocking bad. It was so bad that Twitter wasn't even offended. For Twitter to be offended, there needs to be enough people actually trying to defend the substance behind the show. No one watching Redo was actually trying to defend the substance behind the plot here. We all know it was a shit plot. Let's like actually acknowledge that we don't actually give a shit about the plot about Redo, and let's give an extra few minutes to the sex scenes in Redos. If you did that, easy S tier. But as it stands, Redo is a worse version than most hentai, and is a worse plot than most fantasy anime. Redo is foreplay the anime. Why is it foreplay the anime? Because it's foreplay for the hentai you're actually going to read or watch. That is Redo of a Healer in a nutshell. You don't stop at the foreplay, you're not going to stop at Redo of Healer. And that is where I'm going to end it. Sunny Boy. So this one is actually a bit of a curveball here. Because is it your traditional isekai? Nope. Is it an isekai? Fucking definitely, okay? As you know, it was one of my favorite anime of the year. I think it was number 10. I still do not know where to place this show, because I think I enjoyed it. But at the same time, I also am not sure what I watched. It's one of those shows that I feel like I'm going to need to let sink in for a while. It's one of my favorite shows, but I'm still going to put it at... You know what? I'm going to put it as worse than Mushoku Tensei. Because it is worse than Mushoku Tensei. That's all I know about this show. But I do think it's a show that if you're in the mood for something a bit more deep, a bit more philosophical, then you should give Sunny Boy a shot. Far Away Paladin. I had such high hopes for this one, because I watched the first episode. It was very obvious that the writer was influenced by Mushoku Tensei. They've really put the time in to actually develop the world and develop the characters. This is one show where I would have put it at A tier, but I don't think the anime adaptation was that good. I much preferred the manga. Like, the fight scenes, I think, were not good at all in Far Away Paladin. I think you'd have a better time reading the manga than you would watching the anime. So this goes in B tier. If it was the manga, it would be A tier. Let me see. This is the hidden dungeon only I can enter. This is pretty damn fucking shit from what I remember. I didn't watch more than 3 episodes because it was pretty damn boring. The only thing I remember about this show was this guy made out with his, was it his sister or his childhood friend? I don't fucking remember. Has like incest just taken over my mind that I just assume that everyone from someone's childhood is their sister? It's his friends? Okay, it's his friends. Ignore what I just said. Ignore that. Guys, it was always his childhood friend. I didn't mention incest at all. Shut the fuck up. Alan cut that out. So he makes out with his childhood friend. And I remember how he makes out with his childhood friend is this girl has a fucking migraine and he's just like, hey bruh, you know what? What if we just fucking kiss and that'll get rid of your fucking migraine? And I'm just like, who would fucking fall for this? Who would fall for this? And the girl falls for it. The girl falls for it. Like, you think this shit would work in real life? No. But aside from that, I don't remember anything else. This is like E tier, I guess. This is E tier. And then finally, we got Arcane. Is Arcane an anime? Is it an isekai? Is it a fantasy? I don't know. It is a fantasy. I just wanted to talk about Arcane because I haven't had a chance to talk about it since my video about it. Okay, this is my fucking list. Of course, you know it's fucking S tier. The reason I wanted to put Arcane on this list was just so I can like gush about it a bit more. I was actually going to make like a follow-up video on Arcane, but I didn't think I had enough to say about it to warrant its own video. So that's why we have a stream. You guys are gonna sit here and listen to me fucking gush about Arcane just one more time. What I wanted to say about it was I had this realization because when I made my video about Arcane, it was just as the show finished airing. So I try not to let the hype really cloud my judgment because I know recency bias is going to be a thing. So I knew I needed to wait like a short while for it to actually sink in, for me to actually like properly form my opinion. Arcane is good, but I didn't know how good Arcane was. And I've watched it twice. I've watched it more than once now. I've let it sink in. And I think that I am now comfortable saying that I think it's a masterpiece. I'm saying that. I think season 1 of League of Legends Arcane is a masterpiece. I don't want to like throw that word out cheaply, but I think Arcane deserves it. I've tried to like really think about it, and there are so many things that this show does amazingly and better than anything else like I've ever seen. I wanted to make a video on the Echo versus Jinx fight. I've rewatched that one fucking scene more times than I care to count, and it just gets better every fucking time I watch it. I think that is actually the perfect scene in terms of animation, storytelling, just general coolness and music. My fucking god, that is just like a god tier scene. And the reason I didn't make a video on it is because the video would just be me explaining the scene. But the problem is, the scene does such a good job at conveying what it needs to explain that I would just be doing a disservice by explaining what the scene is already doing to the viewer. But I will give you a fucking cliff notes of what I wanted to say anyway. We all know how badass the music is and how badass this fucking animation is. Okay, that really speaks for itself. And, you know, that's what I noticed on my first viewing of this, which was how fucking cool the animation changes style. This is amazing, yada, yada, yada. What I find amazing about this one scene is it almost shows these two characters' entire backstory, an entire relationship, without a single piece of dialogue being exchanged between them. It establishes that these two obviously were good friends as kids, and Echo uses that knowledge from his game to beat Jinx in this fight. It does this through just like subtle facial expressions. This shot where Echo like fucking exhales. There's so much going on in just these few seconds. You see the emotional journey he goes on, where he starts off being disappointed and then he proposes playing a game with Jinx. You see Jinx going from surprise to just be like, all right, let's do this. It conveys this so well without having me to explain it. Obviously, I'm explaining it now and I'm ruining the scene, but you garner that without them saying anything. I think it's just like such a masterclass in storytelling that you're able to garner their entire relationship just through shit like this. This is my single favorite scene from 2021. I fucking also love this transition where they just transition to kids again and you're like, okay, they're now playing your kids. It's fucking amazing. That's all I wanted to say. I'm not gonna go through a full-on fucking map breakdown of the scene. It's fucking incredible. If you haven't watched Arcane, go watch Arcane. It is a masterpiece. I'm comfortable in saying that now. Can you imagine if this scene was a fucking anime scene? Echo would take his watch out and then what would happen is a fucking narrator would come in and be like, and this is what happened when Echo and Jinx were kids. And they'd go to a fucking flashback where a narrator just narrates a full play-by-play of their fucking relationship as kids. All right, there, I'm done. Anyway, that was my full ranking of every isekai and fantasy in 2021. Isekai last year was pretty fucking solid. In a lot of years, you would have had like maybe 1 or 2 A tiers, and then everything was like C and D tier. But this year, there was some S tiers, there was some A tiers, there was a lot of B tiers. I know I'm the isekai trash man, I know, but guys, Guys, this isn't copium. I genuinely think that 2021 was a pretty good fucking year for Isekai. I might even say it's like the best year of Isekai to come out since the Isekai boom. Anyway, that has been me ranking every Isekai and fantasy of 2021 with a few twists here and there. If you're watching this on YouTube, hi YouTube. If you don't know, I stream on twitch.tv/GIGGUK. And if you want to watch the full unedited VOD of this, you can just click the link in the description. I do have a third channel for just all my VODs. Anyway, that's it from me for today. I've been GIGGUK, and I will see you all next time.